The Indian women's team played in their first ever Pro League tournament and they finished third. So what were your takeaways from that tournament?
For us, it was a big unknown playing these top teams for the first time. I think it was a great experience, especially because our team and our players are not used to playing games that count other than in the bigger tournaments. You know, we're reliant on playing practice games in the lead up to the Tokyo Olympics and in lead up to previous tournaments. So the ability to play, and that, you have to perform because, the rankings matter, the world ranking points matter, has been something that I think created added value to learn to play under certain pressure, to perform every single game. And I think the learning has been tremendous for us throughout the Pro League from January till now.
What are the things that you think that the team can still improve on now that there is the Commonwealth Games, there's also the World Cup coming in a few days?
I think we have very many strengths and we have a lot of potential. I think when we're good, we're very good. The consistency is something that we've been working hard on. So making sure that, our lowest level is still relatively high. And that is throughout a tournament, but it is also within a game itself where we know we can't have 5-6 minute spells of, losing composure or losing the base level or turning over the ball too much, because at that point, these teams will capitalize in the world. And I think that's something we've been working hard on and understanding, okay, what actually happens in these moments, how can we change it, and what needs to happen instead. And I'm kind of interested to see if we can do that in this World Cup.
Have you set a target for the team for the World Cup and then the Commonwealth Games as well?
To be honest, the Commonwealth Games has not really been center focused right now. We are really focusing on the World Cup, and that's the first tournament that's ahead. And for me, it's more, the process and what needs to happen. So we'll look at it from game to game. I think we're in a good pool with good teams that are challenging to beat. So for us, the first challenge is England, if I look completely objective. We know what we need to do, and that first game is important. And as a coach, my target is more like, can we play to this level, to this standard that I'm envisioning? And if we do that, I think we have a really good chance to beat a lot of teams in this tournament.
I think there is a 10-day gap between the World Cup ending and the Commonwealth Games starting. So when two big tournaments come so close to each other, on the heels of each other, how much pressure does that put on the mental side of the things and also the fitness aspect?
Yeah, after the World Cup, we would have to take a good look and get a breather mentally, get a breather physically, so that we can build up again. But I think Pro League has shown that we can actually sustain our level throughout 2-3 months. I think in January we had the Asia Cup, and then we played Pro League until April without a break, without the girls going home. So I do think our team is ready to do that.
One of the trademarks of this team over the last few years, I think since Rio at least, has been fitness and the emphasis that has been put on fitness. Can you just contrast the levels of fitness from the first time you saw a training session with the Indian women's team to now maybe?
I think when I joined, they were already at a decent level of fitness. I think it was potentially different when, I saw them in 2016 when they came to the USA and before the Rio Olympics, where I thought they were not as fit as they were definitely when I joined them in 2020. I think as a player, you learn that, you always have to push yourself, and the level you have can also always be higher. And I think the thing that since Tokyo, where we were also fit, I think what I've told the girls many times is, you need to focus on playing longer and harder at a certain level. And what you have done doesn't mean you get what you get. Your body gets used to it. Your body gets used to hard work. So then you have to work even harder to get better.
I'm also trying to understand. I've spoken to a lot of these senior players who keep talking about the red sessions that the team has, and sometimes they feel like the red sessions are actually more taxing physically than games itself. So I just wanted to understand, was that something that you brought into the picture, or was that already there?
We already had red sessions, but I think what I added was to make it like have, for example, a competition day, so a red session. We don't just play 11v11, but we do practice in two teams, and everything from warm up till the end of the session is competitive. So it can be a shooting exercise that is competitive. It can be a small game 3v3 going on simultaneously at different parts of the training field. And I think that competitiveness brings this extra edge to the training session. What I'm doing more is like we play everything in one session. So we do some small games, then a big game, then again a transition exercise. So they get used to different types, and that's more taxing for their bodies.
The Netherlands are right up there when it comes to women's hockey. You obviously have played for them. So I wanted to understand that, is that a thing that trickles down from the Netherlands team?
I must say I'm very much, how do you call it, scientifically driven at one end, but at the same time I also know what worked for me as a player and what I enjoy doing. And for me, a training session needs to be enjoyable. So if I want to push myself, I also need to enjoy that I'm out there and I'm pushing myself. So what I've tried to do is always learning from these different aspects. And Netherlands, competition day is a thing. If you look at their Instagram, like the Dutch team, they'll have their winners team. In the USA, I started doing that. They still do it. They have competition day. It's been out there, and I think England is doing it the same way.
In terms of a breakdown in a week's training session, how does it work? How many red sessions are there? How many green and how many oranges?
We train typically 3 red sessions, one orange and 2 green.
Right.
And so it's like six sessions, and then 2 gym sessions, 2 or 3 gym sessions basically. And but that is kind of like what I mean. What I did change, like a green session beforehand was typically just penalty corners and some static skills. Where I changed that, it's all small stuff and it's not high intensity, but it's a lot more hockey, because I just think a training is boring if we just do 1 hour of the same thing.
How many hours does a training session usually last, be it red, orange or green?
Typically green is 1 hour to 1.5 hours, and the other sessions are 1.5 hours to 2 hours, including warm up and cool down.
The elite level, even in the Pro League, we've seen that matches are typically very, very fast. Rolling substitutions keep happening at like a knee-jerk pace. So I wanted to understand how much of this game is currently all about fitness.
I think it's the big equalizer, in the sense that if you're not fit, you can't compete. So like in the past, people, like I can go back all the way to the Netherlands when they weren't in the top or in the finals. That had largely to do with also the level of fitness, that Holland had the skill, but not the level of fitness that an Australia had at that time. And what happened is that all Netherlands caught up, and now their fitness levels are similar as Australia, and it becomes the equalizer, because if you're at the same fitness, then technically, mentally is going to make the difference. But if you're not fit, you can't compete. So I feel like now it doesn't make the difference, because Netherlands is fit, Australia is fit, New Zealand's fit, England is fit. But if you're not fit, it's going to make the difference, but in the wrong way. So you have to have that fitness to be able to compete.
Just one last thing. If you would sum up this team's qualities, what would you say that what is it that characterizes the Indian women's hockey team?
They fight really hard together and for each other, and whilst they're doing that, the individual skills shine. That's what I strongly believe. They play to their strengths and they do it together, and they're not afraid to give the credit to someone else if as long as we win.
Good. Thank you so much for your time. This was a great conversation. Thank you so much for it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.